franchise.
For the disposition piece, or do we close the meeting for legal counsel for that?
That's good.
Close the meeting,
Yeah.
or even to.
I mean, you get a different
I mean,
price.
you may then appoint someone for this too, right?
Actually,
They go
right. All right, well, let's convene the meeting of the Capitalized Element Finance and Investment Committee. First order of business is review the minutes of January 12th, 2026. Seems like a long time ago. What a motion, Bruce. Motion. Second. Any further discussion, clarification? No. Is there anyone opposed? Hearing unanimously. Next up is first quarter financial results, and then we're gonna do an investment review as well.
Thank you, Chair. I'd ask the members direct your attention to the material beginning on page 6 for a summary narrative, budget versus actual, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, and then the Starry Partners investment package that was stepped through separately. There's a narrative, but I have some prepared comments. Again, please stop me as needed to clarify anything. I will preface these comments with saying that performance is mixed for the first quarter, but not entirely unexpected. And I will pause while we just.
Sorry, no television.
It's still feeding?
It's still
This one is,
Yeah.
Is it recording and projecting now?
it is.
Okay, good.
We're good, we can just keep going. if you
Yeah.
want.
Okay.
There's nothing on the screen of note anyway.
Okay. Don't look at me, I'm a monster. Okay, so again, as I was saying, this was budgeted to be somewhat of an uneven year with respect to financial performance, and we're back with palm trees. And we are 25% of the way towards that outcome. Through March 26, Capital has all been generated a total of revenue of approximately 373,000, trailing budget by about 131,000, shortfall of about 26%. 75% of this variance can be attributed to timing and receipt of outstanding payments, as well as kind of a mixed Q1 on the investment side, because we aggregate our investment reporting into kind of an omnibus line item. That can have some effect on, some oscillating on the financial statements that we really have no control over, obviously. The shortfall was partially offset by stronger than budgeted professional service agreement income, and on a year-over-year basis, revenue declines from 503,000 in Q1 25. Largely again due to timing and the nature of decreased grant funding and investment income. Although fee-based income showed growth. Operating expenses totaled approximately 669,000, exceeding budget by approximately 135,000, primarily due to the receipt and payment of the litigation and bills associated with the Liberty Park properties. That was previously reserved for in 25, but again, due to the timing of that payment, that didn't go out the door until Q1 26, and that was intentional. Salaries and admin costs were below budget, partially related to the overage. As a result, the organization reported an operating loss for program activity of approximately 297,000, compared to a modest budgeted loss and a smaller prior year deficit. Again, just to remind the committee, we are budgeted on an operating basis for 26 to $135,000 loss. Program and project activity generated positive net income of about 27,000, outperforming budget due to stronger revenues from Liberty Park and related initiatives. Again, although partially offset by higher programmatic expenses. Even with this contribution, the overall net loss for the period was approximately 270,000. Balance sheet liquidity, total assets stood at approximately 24.5 million at quarter end, slightly down from the prior year. Liquidity did not declined, with cash and cash equivalents dropping from 860 to 135,000. Again, I wish this was, this report encompassed the first week of April, because we did receive our ESD reimbursement, 694,000. So these 694,000 approximately. Again, Andy can speak to it, but I think somewhat.
That's something with market volume.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was 18 months plus in the making. Wow. That crossed several budget
That's
years.
really positive.
So again, kudos to Andy for seeing that through. That was a big lift. Liabilities decreased modestly overall, though accounts payable increased, indicating some, again, aforementioned timing related obligations. Net position declined to 20.5 million, reflecting the current year loss and a reduction of unrestricted net assets. Cash flow from operations was a negative 128,000, a decline from positive cash flow the previous year, primarily driven by operating loss and changes in working capital, including increase in liabilities and modest receivable activity. Investment activity provided 116,000, helping to partially offset the operating deficit. Overall cash and investment balances decreased slightly during the period, and continuing a somewhat downward trend on liquidity over quarter one. Overall assessment, off to a challenging start, with revenue underperformance and elevated professional service costs and the legal invoicing, driving larger than expected loss. Program activities contribute positively, and the balance sheet remains strong overall. Declining liquidity and negative cash flow will warrant closer monitoring, and of course, we'll keep an eye on that going forward. And as always, we work to contain all our operating expenses, and in fact, all the operating costs have come in under budget. So salary, fringe, operating, administrative costs, we are controlling the control those. We're doing our best to control those. Some operating notes to mention. This is our first quarter with MMB fully.
Yeah.
This deck results an implementation of their reporting preferences. I think we're going to work collaboratively to make this kind of an iterative document. I personally have comfort around the former version, and I think we'll find a middle ground that displays sufficient information, but still allows us to create these things in a more effective process. We are, again, still well capitalized. The funding transfers to the new cash management bank, NBT, occurred on Friday. We are subject to a interest rate guarantee through the end of June, 3.65%. So the accounts are, receiving at least a market rate interest, if not somewhat above. And again, we have the standby credit facilities, the backstop in the event of any unforeseen expenses. We have that as $1 million. So operations are mixed, but we're optimistic. And again, we are keeping control on the expenses we can control.
Yeah. So, the investment in interesting, that's quite a miss on the budgeting side, isn't it? What's driving this?
Again, because we aggregate the unrealized and mostly the unrealized value in the investment interest income, that's going to skew it a little more negatively.
So that's a market value adjustment?
It is a market value adjustment.
How much it is a market value adjustment?
Not $70,000.
Oh.
The portfolio does remain fully compliant with respect to the equity piece. And again, we did include the.
Do those mark to market on that? Between equities? Must be heavy. Sorry. Line proof.
You see your chart?
What?
The chart?
No.
No, they're giggling over here.
I'm surprised that we did that. That's okay. What's driving the outperformance in Liberty Park? Is it monthly charges, utilization, events at the MVP? What drives that?
Few things. Parking receipts are up. We do have
Is it monthly sale or?
Well, it depends. Yes and no. The event volume is mixed. It really kind of oscillates depending on who we've got playing down at the MVP Center.
Yeah.
But I guess the holdover, when we did the budget back in last fall, I think we expected Trailways to have a more permanent extension on their lease arrangement. That only recently came into being in March. So we had 3 months of a holdover rate, which is effectively double what they were
Right.
originally paying.
And they were paying.
And they've been paying that since last July, so the organization has benefited from, kind of a transient lease structure with ADK. There are some operating issues that we're working through them on. Recently, just restoring the lot that abuts the Greyhound side, that we're working to bring back into parking inventory. So combination of factors, increased parking rates, cost containment. On the last side, we did make arrangements with them to kind of align their payroll processes and their staffing, paring it back into off. So we're not paying inordinate amounts of staffing for the last lot operations. Parking receipts are up, and then we have increased rent receipts.
So what's the perspective and of success and the timeline for the relocation of the bus garage, the intermodal site? Corner Madison and Pearl. So any color on that?
So as far as timing, they all, and as far as our contracts, they currently, Greyhound has a lease that's in effect until, I don't have the specific date in front of me, but mid-year next year, I believe. And then Trailways has their license agreement that's also in effect until next year. So short term, they have their home. They have been working with the county on the intercity bus site. I think we'll work with them as we can in
Sure.
order to ensure.
I was just curious from a. So do they have contractual extension rights?
They're monthly, so we control the one way there.
Okay.
And to Ashley's credit, I think we negotiated some pretty favorable lease terms over the past 9 months with these groups.
They're,
So congenial, but
yeah, for sure.
favorable to the organization.
Yeah, we, Greyhound was on a really low lease where 20 Lakes had ownership of the site, so we tried to, when we did the renegotiation, we tried to right size it. Because they're not the easiest property manager to, work with from a property management perspective, as the news would have you understand.
Right, and that was a Goldilocks situation. The board didn't want too much term. And they wanted more term,
Right.
so we ended up in the middle and with a provision that we can get out of it on a relatively short notice
Yeah.
if we need to.
I can't remember if that one's 45 days was maybe the middle ground. 45, 60 or 30, yeah.
Yeah, I
something
think it's,
like that.
yeah, I think it's 75 or 90, but yeah, so we have the ability to get out. We need to, although at this point, it's more likely, who knows, timing wise,
Who knows?
we just don't know.
I'm just curious, I know we're only a quarter in, so it's not enough time to really put a discussion about any kind of adjustments. But we budgeted 135, you said, for losses share.
We did, but on the operating, all in non-cash is closer to 4.7.
Okay. And then, so we have some timing issues in this current report, we have the one-off that hasn't been reported yet for the income for this month. Confidence level right now, is this really near where we're gonna be with, there's the 135, I know these balancing acts with timing are always tough. As you go through quarter to quarter, month to month, because things come and get deferred, get accelerated. And change things, but looking ahead, you see anything to right now, it's 9 months to the average of that.
The only known unknown at this point are the premium renewals, and those are, full disclosure, those are increasing. Specifically the PNC down at Liberty, we've been quoted, 20 or 30% higher than previous renewals. This is our first year with Clinton Market as a fully active site, and again, it's being insured as a public plaza, which is inordinately more expensive than you would expect it to be. So those renewals are somewhat year by year, obviously, renewals year by year, but the underwriting can change depending on who's looking at it. They do go to market, so we are staying competitive and, fully covered. But at this point, really the insurance premiums are gonna be the biggest unknown at this point. We actively work with our broker to control, but at some point, some of that is out of our hands.
And just remind me not to get count, the monies that we could have ended up paying on that lawsuit, ended up winning very nicely on. Was that reserved against?
It is.
So that then goes back to the general funds now, right? In terms of that reserve is no longer held as reserve, it's back to a.
I think once it's done.
It's final.
Yeah, so I think we're still holding
Is
everything.
there one more appeal still going on, Tom? I think that's-
Yeah, so there, so
I'm sorry.
I'll start.
at Graham.
Yeah, so PSC, the other party, did file their leave for motion to appeal. So that's in, and then Hodgson Ross, our attorney for CADA, did submit the response.
Okay.
So both of those are in, and now we're just kind of in the waiting game.
What's the timeline of that?
Probably 3 to 4
Yeah.
months.
3 to 4 months. But the fact that we won, that's really no bearing on our income statement or balance sheet, other than we had reserved money directly, right? Was that an internal restriction? Or we put money on deposit somewhere, but it was still on our balance sheet?
It is.
Yeah, so there's money in reserve, yeah.
Right.
It's still on
So
the
it won't affect.
It won't affect the performance.
Right.
It's fully reserved for.
Yeah.
In cash
And
balance.
we're still.
But it could potentially go on to Cerity as well, where it's.
Yeah, no, that was my question.
Yeah.
So we still, what do we earn on that money?
Well, I mean, with, the reserve accounts for the first year,
Yeah,
it's a rate in excess of 3%.
So it doesn't restrict how we can get, it's part of our cash strategy, whatever.
It's part of our cash strategy. I think we treat it somewhat with kid gloves. We make sure that we reach out periodically to the bank to make sure that the rates we're getting are above market.
No, I get it. I'm just trying to say, the fact that we won doesn't really have a impact on our financial condition.
Not as of yet.
Right.
Hopefully we can.
yeah, hopefully we can use that money to get a return in the future or, you know, for other purposes, but right now it wouldn't impact, yeah.
Just think of in terms of reserves against losses in the banking world is a operating expense that you adjust up and down.
Yeah.
It's not an operating expense, so
Yeah,
separate pool of money put aside for just in case.
I like how you're thinking about stuff. It's good.
Did we reserve the 2.66 though, or did we reserve the two, is it held at 2.65 on our?
It's held it's the two,
Two.
so the 600 would be something we would come up with organically. Just for context, I actually went back through, Rich, and I thought might have, or not you specifically, but just generally the question about the performance year over year. I went back and pulled the last 4 years of net operating, and it was the swings of, you know, from an account, it makes, there's a certain level of discomfort given the fact that these things oscillate kind of all over the place depending on timing and year and nature of the projects, but you know, last year's 45,000, year before 398, before that 125, and before that $383,000 loss. So there is some ebb and flow to the project cycle here, and that obviously has a direct impact on the financial schedules. We do our best to mitigate the down.
How's the relationship with the MMB?
Good.
Good.
I think there's still some acclimation happening. We've made some strides with, you know, the remote nature of the relationship hasn't come into being as well as I think we would have thought. They've encountered some technical issues that have prevented them from fully integrating with us as we would have liked, but there's no other hurdles. And we've actually saved almost 50,000 between the audit and the operating expense. So we're happy with the financials, and we're working with the people.
And their resource allocation to us has been
Adequate, and Ashley and I have recently had discussions about expanding the scope marginally to include maybe an additional half day, just to make sure. Especially on pre-meeting days.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's more around the oscillation of meeting distribution and making sure we have staff available when we have, you know, final questions on meeting documents and things like that, to make sure we have all the numbers up to stuff.
Any feel yet for how the Clinton Market Collective is gonna be from a program perspective and corresponding impact to our results?
Well, the splash pads are opening tomorrow. Maybe those are the market. So
Here is.
Bring your, yeah,
yeah, as it's snowing.
in the flow, your swimmies.
There has been interest, and again, I think Olivia and Ashley might be able to speak to a little more directly, but I know that we're looking to engage. We're an operator contract again this year. I know we've got the containers fitted up for leasing, and working with Tom, we've drafted a container lease agreement so we can manage those. I mean, the goal is to have the site fully up and running. I think this is the first year from day one we'll be able to do that.
There's multiple conversations ongoing, so we've been working with the downtown bid about their interest about assisting with programming in this year, and then also the city office of special events has wanted to coordinate a meeting with the palace and the bids in Summer Albany, so we haven't seen that hit our calendar yet, but working with them to kind of coordinate additional programming on the site.
Program Jennings Landing, right?
Yes, yeah,
And Tricentennial Park, I guess.
yes, yeah.
Makes sense to coordinate. Everything.
Yeah. They just obviously can't have. a
To be
giant
determined,
cost.
what did we budget for Clinton Market collected from the revenue perspective?
Revenue perspective, approximately $12,000.
Well,
And that's,
is that net or gross?
that would be gross. Net is somewhat less than that.
Then my last question, what's the open position again?
What's the what?
We have an open position?
We budgeted for a staff accounting library role last fall, that we're still looking to. I guess define what we want that role to be, and I defer to Ashley with respect, I think that could take different shapes depending on the needs. I know there's an economic development need, a junior accountant need, an operations development person need. And that's kind of a unicorn role, so
Yeah, so I think we wanted to get MMB up and working with us and acquainted with all of our operations and then determine. If we wanted to have, you know, a part-time or full-time. Staff level accountant position, to assist and to supplement that. To help with, you know, overall, long-term operations and operational sustainability to have that coverage. You know, the vendor relationships work well when they work well, and sometimes they don't work out so well, and sometimes it'd be good to have. We have a staff that is under our wing and that we can manage that directly, so that's been consideration there is get MMB up and running and see if that's something we still wanna do. Or if we need it more on the real estate and on the development side instead.
To be continued, but we have it budgeted.
Yes.
I think the board's very supportive of having people. I don't think anyone at the board is saying, you know, don't spend. If we have resources we can allocate, that's gonna have a material impact on our efficiency, output, impact. That's a good thing. Any other questions?
Not here.
If not, we'll present this to the board, right?
Just briefly, your Saturday deck is in there as
Oh,
well.
yeah, yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Again, they usually come in January and over the summer, that date has not been set yet. But they are still working again to refine the presentation on their side. Alicia has advised that the format may change somewhat as they fully integrate Saturday, their back office into their system. But again, these are reports that you're comfortable with. We have the aggregate chart. It includes balance sheet accounts as well as the investment. Overall, it's about $6 million in cash and fixed income, about $323,000 in equities. And again, despite this somewhat uneven year that we've had so far, the portfolio is basically still neutral performance wise, to much.
Is our cash position all 100% liquid? Do we take any duration in any CDs, anything like that? It's all money market
I
accounts?
believe it's just the money market accounts.
At some point, are people thinking about whether you should bridge through some interest rate risk or?
I can absolutely take that back to Alicia. I would defer to them for.
Yeah, I
more
would be
complete
curious what
guidance.
they recommend, and then maybe that waterfalls your strategy into how you manage all these bank accounts. You probably have optionalities. You may want to think about laddering some duration, just so you. I don't know if it's kind of not sequential or not.
I think our investment portfolios standard or guidelines are severely limited.
Our duration.
Maturity, yeah, it's
Yeah.
like three-year maximum maturity.
That's good.
It's, yeah.
It's better than zero. Well, not better than, it gives you some optionality. I think you want to do what.
I mean, the duration reserve is 2.4, liquidity is 0.5, and I guess that gives you an average of 2.9. It's a weighted average.
Well, just see what Alicia says.
Sure.
It'd be good to get some perspective and maybe we learn a little something of how to think about that. I have no idea what interest rates are going.
On the cash side, at least we're locked in with MBT for another 75 days. So we're benefiting from that. And that is another efficiency. We're able to incorporate an automatic cash investment sweep, so we don't have to manually move the money back and forth like we do with our owner. So that's a help to the staff.
Any questions on Sari? We're still doing a good job for us. Communication, good, resource allocation, good.
Debates.
All right. So we'll present both of those at the board.
Yes.
Right. And that doesn't require a motion or an approval, it's just, it just moves over.
Yeah.
Perfect. Other business for consideration.
Yes, I would like to suggest that we move into, or get a motion for, an executive session to discuss, the potential retention or appointment of an individual or a corporation.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? All right, so we're now in executive.
And we're back on.
Are we back on?
We are.
All right, can you get a motion to come out of executive session, please?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No actions were taken, executive session?
Thank you, sir. Any other matters for, the consideration of the finance committee?
No,
No, hearing none, motion to adjourn?
Second.
Great, we stand adjourned. Thanks all for your
Thank
time,
you.
energy.
Thanks so much.
Good meeting.
thank you, thank you.